So I wanted to give you an introduction or a review of what we had talked about previously, logging into Trestles, getting the code to compile, and getting to that point. So I'm going to assume that you already know how to log into Moodle and find the first homework, and also that you know how to use an SSH client. As I mentioned in a previous class or in an email, the procedure for logging into Trestles and other Exceed resources has changed recently, and it turns out this second way that's mentioned here in the Accounts tab, that no longer works. It just points you back to the first option, which says use your own SSH client, whatever that is, to log in and connect. So first step is to SSH to login.exceed.org, and you can see that I've done that here, and it gives you a list of common resources, and the one that we're interested in is trestles.sdsc.exceed.org. That's the Trestles machine. And now we're going to SSH by using the csci SSH program from the command line, and proceed from there. So first thing I'm going to do once I have logged into Exceed is copy that and run that command. And you see here then that now I'm logged into Trestles in my home directory. The next thing that I want to do, actually before I get the code, is to switch modules so that I know I'm using the GNU compiler, because that's what we're going to use. So I copy that command and I'll paste it over here and run that. And you can see that it has unloaded some modules and switched in the GNU libraries. Okay, now we're ready to go and get the code. Now the code, you're going to want the code in two places. First, you're obviously going to want it on Trestles to execute it and things, but mostly for editing and other stuff, you're going to want it on your own PC so that you can use your favorite editor, modify code, and then FTP it up to Trestles. So there isn't much to FTP. You can use any FTP program you want, and with your Exceed login you can, so FileZilla for example, you could use FileZilla to FTP to trestles.sdsc.exceed.org and open an FTP session to wherever you want the files to go, and move them up and back that way. Now the two things though that I'm going to show you here, we'll use this command to upload the files to Trestles. But one thing I want to show you first is it's more convenient to download things. If you're downloading things to your PC, click on the starting folder link here. It will take you to this page, and down here at the end of this homework 1 section is the tar file. So just click on that link to download it to your computer, and then it's a tar gzipped file. So make sure that you unzip it properly, but when you put it on your computer, you'll have all of the source files that are shown here, everything you need. Okay, so that's how you get it down to your computer. Now, back to this point, how the easiest way to get it to Trestles is to use this wget command. And so I'm going to take that and paste it into my window over here, and we'll run that command. And so we do a wget this http file exceed.exe-homework1.tgz. So I'll just paste that there and run it, and you can see now that we got the file. And then the next step, as we see from the window over here, is to unarchive the files there. And so I'm going to grab this tar command. It's actually an untar, and we know that it's an untar because of the -xvzf that says to untar it and unzip it or ungzip it. Now there's a period on this line. I don't want the period, so ignore that, but I'm going to copy that command and run it over here on the command line. And there you go. Now we see that in the subdirectory hw1, I have all of the files that I need. So we'll change directory there. And you'll see when I do an ls to do a directory, there are a bunch of files there. Notice I do have the object versions. I'm going to use make here, make and clean to do a clean. I'll talk about make in just a minute. But now you see when I do an ls, it only shows the C files and the job submission scripts. So now we've got the source files we need. And from Tressel's point of view, we're ready to go. Now, we're going to use the make command. It's basically like using a project file. You may be used to using GCC and doing single command line compiles for single files, but now we have a set of files, and so make file is much easier. I won't take time to cover all of the details of a make file now. We may do that in class. Because there are some details to talk about. But here's basically how you then get a compile. We're in the directory where the make file is and all the source files are. We're just going to type make on the command line. And then you can see that in that make file, it built the dgem naive file, it built the dgem blocked file, and it built the dgem blast file. Now the naive file is the one that just does the standard triple loop matrix multiply that we all know and love and really ultimately hate, but that runs really slow. But for comparison purposes, we could run that. Then the blocked one is a beginning basic blocked version of that should be a little bit faster than the naive version. And then the blast version is the one that the other two codes would be compared to. Now, you don't have to do both of these. You only have to create one implementation. So, for example, you could start with the blocked code and do optimizations there and get some results. So let me then show you next how do you run a job. And that's where this qsub command that you see here, to submit jobs on the Trestle system, use the qsub interface. So if we wanted, for example, to do the blocked version, I'll run that command here. It's going to take a few minutes to submit it to the queue and then tell me that it's done. And then ultimately, depending on when the job is scheduled, it'll actually run and give us results. The file that we're looking for here for our results is something.stdout. So you see this clean command here removed stdout files. So in our case, we're going to be, since we ran the job blocked script, we're going to be looking for jobblocked.stdout. And there are a couple of ways that you can look to see what the status of your job is. One is if you want to make sure that you got in the queue, you can periodically run this command hw1 and give your username. In this case, mine is grudolph, and so I will type that, and it gives me some sort of an entry like this, which just tells me that this is scheduled and running and how much time it's used so far. And if I want to see if everything is done, one way to do that is to do a directory and look for jobblocked.stdout. So now I've got some results. So I'm going to use the cat command to give me a listing of that file. So I'm going to cat jobblocked.stdout. And here you see, here's what I'm looking for. This is the simple blocked dgem. Here are the different sizes of arrays that the file checks my program against, the approximate number of flops, and then the percentage of peak speed. Again, that's as compared to BLAS. So you can see my average percentage, not that great, 10% of peak. Well, we can do really better than that, and that's the goal of the assignment. And so you would see the average peak here, and then the grade that I would be given is a 14 out of 100, you know, according to the scale given in the assignment. So some work to be done there. But that gives you an idea basically how to get the code, get it running, get it compiled, and other things. Now, as I said, you'll want to edit files on your computer and then upload them to Trestles. And so when we're logging in to run these, we have to go to login.xseed.org. But when we're doing FTP up to our accounts on Trestles, we don't need to go through the login.xseed.org. We can go directly to Trestles. The Trestles.sdsc.xseed.edu, which we first saw, this one. So you can FTP directly to that machine, and it will go to your, and log in as you, and it will go to your account. So good luck, and I hope you make some progress this weekend.